Welcome back. We are reading through Paul, a novel by Walter Wangerin, and great book. Go out and buy a copy if you want one. It's published by Zondervan, and it's good. The place where we left off had a speaker whose name was Jude, who was a Jewish man from the synagogue in Damascus, who was upset about some arguments that had been going on in the synagogue between people who followed various factions, one of which was a group that believed that the Messiah had come. And he is on his way from Damascus to find a man who's being sent from Jerusalem to help sort things out, a guy named Saul. And he's supposed to meet him at Mount Hermon. And the letter that he received first said, look for a man who's newly bald, because he doesn't know who this guy is or what he looks like. So we'll pick the story up there. Look for a man newly bald. I was more interested in trying to figure out what newly bald meant than in selling cushions. I walked down the middle of a shining marble street in Panea with the cushion held high in my left hand and the bridle of my little donkey in the right. I moved past counters and shops toward the temple that Herod the Great built 50 years ago. Built it right at the foot of the mountains. Maybe somebody wanted to buy my cushion. I didn't notice. There was a dark cloud coming from the west, getting ready to collide with the side of the mountain. The rainy season was about to start any day now. They had finished sowing their wheat fields west of Mount Hermon. Maybe it was going to rain. My little donkey needed oats before the day was done. Newly bald. Now, what would that look like? When you come to Herod's temple from the city, you come first to its back, as if the building were busy about other things. Its porch faces the mountain. Actually, the porch faces a cave in the base of the mountain, a very, very old cave, so holy that all people, even the Greeks, know of its holiness. Many gods have been worshipped there. For example, the god the Greeks call Pan, which is how the city got its old name, Panea. But only one God made the world, and only the Lord is one. Between the temple porch and the mouth of the cave, there's a space of green garden and low stone walls and ancient trees and pools of bright water. That is the particular spot where the Pharisee named Saul had chosen where I should meet him. So I tethered my little donkey on the side of the marble steps and walked around the building, and there he was. In the end, I had no trouble finding newly bald. The fellow had a huge head, and perhaps that would have been enough to notice, but there was a more perfect sign. His head was sunburnt from ear to ear and nape to brow. Sunburnt and blistered. The whole scalp looked like bubbling gruel. I guess he hadn't worn a turban all the way from Jerusalem. He was huffing and puffing as if he was running a race, but the man was only talking. It turned out that that's the way Saul always talked. Headlong, lickety-split. He was talking to two young fellows, but as soon as his little eye caught sight of me, he stopped and grinned and said, "If you're for me, then I'm for you." I thought it was amazing how he could pick me out of all the people passing by. I nodded and said, "Jude." He came straight up to me and took the cushion that I had forgot was in my hand. "I knew it was you, Jude," he said, holding my cushion up high. "I knew it was you in the midst of a trip," he cried, bursting into laughter and embracing me. "Here's an old Jew like my father the Jew, who comforts his backside traveling. I liked him right away. My heart was straight out to Saul the Pharisee, and I felt glad that it was me come to meet him. I grinned and grinned at his silly joke. He was short and bright and very quick, small eyes in his head, long fingers I noticed, and a run of words that once it got going couldn't get stopped. He pointed to one of the young fellows with him, saying, Mattathias, and to the other, saying, Phadiah. They were lads with downy cheeks, but they had the sense to wear turbans. Then Saul the Pharisee became serious. I was telling my companions, he said, that this is the northern corner of the land. Did you know that, Jude? Do you remember? Come here. Stand in the mouth of the cave. We four moved toward darkness and the echoing stone. Suddenly, Saul threw back his head and cried a line of scripture. So Joshua took all that land as far as Bad Gad in the valley of Lebanon below Mount Hermon. Birds flew up from the bushes. People moved away from us. Saul kneeled down and placed the palms of his 2 hands on the ground. Here it is, he whispered. Baal-gad, the northern corner of the promised land, sacred for ages to the nations, but given to us by the Lord our God 1,200 years ago. And from under the caverns of this cave, he said, arise the springs of the Jordan River, where even a pagan king can wash his body clean again. Let's leave him there in the cave for now.